one of the main tenets of crypto and why it's so important is it's permissionless. And this is something that I don't think I necessarily valued as much in crypto when I got into Bitcoin and crypto in 2017, because at that point I was living in the States and I had multiple bank accounts, and it was easy for me to get a bank account. It was easy for me to get access to the financial system in the United States. But since moving to Colombia and retaking over my citizenship here, I have an issue where I actually can't get a bank account in this country. And maybe on another day I'll dive into it, but it's a little bit personal and it's a longer story. But essentially, I can't get a bank account in this country. So in Colombia, I am completely unbanked. I've gone to many different banks. I can't get it set up. I will go into this in a different video. If you find this at all interesting, just leave a comment. But I have never taken into account more the power of being permissionless. And I think a lot of people in the United States, and once again, I am the best example of this. When I got into crypto in 2017, I saw Bitcoin's power and I saw crypto's power as being remittances. Wow, this is so great. We don't have to deal with Western Union fees anymore. You can just send Bitcoin. You could just send Stellar. I know that that is one of the bigger things that they are looking into, is how do we move money around the world in a borderless, globalized world with little to no fees and in a permissionless way. And I think that this is something that I see a lot online. I see a lot of people, especially from either Europe, the United Kingdom, or the United States, or Canada, or places that just have a better financial system that's a little bit more inclusive. And they often don't take into account the permissionless nature. And once again, I am one of the better examples of this, because when I got into crypto and I got into Bitcoin in 2017, that was not the thing that drew me to it, because I wasn't underbanked or I wasn't unbanked. But now, living in Colombia, while I'm banked in the US, I actually can't open up a bank account here. And like I said, I will go into this in more detail as to why, if it's at all interesting to people. But I just think for me, I've had a privilege when I look at crypto. That wasn't one of the use cases, or that wasn't one of the traits about it that kind of drew me to it, because I was banked in the States. But now, living full-time in Colombia, it has completely changed the way I look at it. I cannot do many things in Colombia because I simply just don't have a bank account. And there was about a month ago where I was trying to get some medical help, but I couldn't, because I couldn't line up essentially what would be in the United States my ACH payment or my wire payments to be able to cover the expense. And sometimes my US credit cards here, they don't work. So this is one of the things, and this is something that I try to call out whenever possible online, is that people from Europe, people from the United Kingdom, and people from the United States, and honestly anywhere around the world, if you do have a bank account, you can even be in Colombia, you could be in Africa, you could be in Latin America, you can be in Asia, you can be anywhere around the world. If you have a bank account and it's easy for you to be able to get paid through a wire and then take that money out, or just keep it on a credit card and pay, I don't think you're taking into account the power of this permissionless new game, which is cryptocurrency. I don't think that we've fully understood that. And I see a lot of people online from the United States specifically who are just talking about Bitcoin as a speculative thing. And they really can't wrap their minds around two things. One, being underbanked or unbanked, and then two, having to ever deal with currency devaluation. And because so much of the world has, especially in Latin America and in Africa and certain parts of Asia, because so much of the rest of the world has dealt with one of those two things, use cases that actually say, okay, Bitcoin is the solution. Once you literally see crypto as, oh, I have this problem, that's my solution, whether it's being underbanked or unbanked or just dealing with currency devaluation, I just think that they're completely different discussions. And this is where I'm actually starting to see my own Twitter or X feed go, and many of the communities with which I'm starting to kind of dive into more or find myself more at home with, just because these are people that have had real actual problems to crypto's real actual solution, which I think really rounds out to that one word, permissionless. As always, please go ahead, follow us on More Than Blockchain at all socials. Every social has different content, not all the same content, so follow us there. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and potentially even share this with somebody else who maybe hasn't seen the value of the permissionless network because they've never dealt with currency devaluation and they've never need to find that solution, or they've never been unbanked or underbanked. As always, thanks, and I'll see you next time.